Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm Amber Gunst. I'm the CEO of Austin Technology Council, and I'm really excited about our program today. We are going to be talking about sales, especially sales and how we need to adjust and move and pivot in this time of COVID. Jake Dunlap with Skaled is going to be leading this conversation today. Jake is an expert in this. He's spoken at several ATC events and always energizes our salespeople and gets them really excited afterwards. We are using two forms of asking questions today. There is the chat Q&A that you can use here on Zoom. We also have Slido, which the code for Slido is 70416. Again, that is 70416. And we will go ahead and also record this program so that we can get that out to our members and on our social media afterwards. But now I'm going to hand this over to Jake and have him educate all of us on all the things we need to do for sales. Go ahead, Jake.
All right, well, great. Well, thank you, Amber. And if you're watching this via recording or you're here live, Melissa, what's going on, Melissa? I hope you're doing amazing. And, I hope that you have some kind of core takeaways from today. I'm going to talk about, we'll call it kind of back to market. And, Melissa, if you'd like, what you can do, and maybe if there's others, feel free to just drop in the chat, maybe your company name and your role. And then again, we can get very kind of specific around specific challenges. Again, as Amber said, if you want to drop it in the chat, your questions, that's fine. I'll be taking a quick peek there, and we'll kind of hop in here. All right, so first, I'm just gonna do this, share my screen. All right, here we go. Thumbs up, you can see my screen? Yes? You can use one of the two Zoom reactions. Two. Really, they can't, that's all they got is two reactions? Like, it just feels like I think there's something like 1,600 or something like that. And all they have is two. Thank you. Becca clapped for me, so I appreciate that. All right. So, look, and I think for a lot of folks right now, I think what's really important is that, as we're having conversations, and probably over the last 60 days, I've talked to at least 200 CEOs, sales, marketing leaders. And I can tell you that many companies are starting to get back into that back to market phase, which is like, okay, that was tough. That sucks. But we now see like, hey, actually last quarter wasn't that bad. We're predicting a better quarter, etc. What's going on, Ellis? Thank you for joining. We appreciate you, Ellis, for joining. Like I said, if you can, drop your company name and role in the chat. That way I can let me know what level of folks we have here, and I can try to tailor some of this to more kind of strategic or tactical. So about Skaled, so look, we're based here in Austin. We moved here, we relocated from New York about 2 years ago now. So we have about 10 people here full time. And we're usually working with organizations globally, here locally, on sales and change management initiatives. So they're bringing us in to help augment the current team, support marketing efforts, support sales change, methodology change, process change, etc. So if you're an organization, you're trying to scale sales, drop your name in the chat. You can DM me, and I will get back to you. So yes, we relocated here 2 years ago. Loving Austin, and loving everything about it. So I think these are kind of the topics I'm going to walk through here. But again, for all of you, and again, I see has anybody dropped in? All right, a few of you dropped in your chat. Recently moved to Austin, looking for opportunities, retail, commerce, cool, finished your MBA, love it. All right, everyone else, if you want, you can tell me. So I'm just going to keep it kind of high level, but I'll go in the weeds. So what COVID exposed about sales, kind of how we're seeing people go back to market from an outbound standpoint, and then different ways to think about scaling in 2020. And 2020 to me is really the beginning of new ways that we're going to see organizations change. A client of ours runs a very successful marketplace called Brain Trust for highly skilled developers, designers. We have another company, Working Not Working, who does something similar. And the demand that we're seeing and they're seeing for people that are experts wanting to work as experts and not full-time is staggering. And there's a big reason, there's many reasons why people will continue to hire full-time. We will continue to hire full-time and need full-time. But I'm going to talk about how as you start to scale sales and marketing, we're not going back with the same playbook in those groups in particular. So The first thing is, what COVID exposed about sales before is that most people's go-to-market plan was literally everybody was ready to buy. And so we would push all the leads to sales, all the, all the different methods that they would go would basically be, oh, we assume this person's ready to buy. And in reality, that's just not how it ever was. And what COVID basically did is we went from this mentality of we're doing all this outbound. If they're in our ICP, ideal customer profile, they're ready to buy, etc. And we shifted completely the other way. Nobody's ready to buy. It's horrible. The world's ending, etc. Well, that's just not the case. It was maybe for a few weeks there. But really, the companies that we're seeing as they go back to market are really focused on doing a better job as they go forward, trifurcating their clients into these are industries and sectors where we shouldn't be spending any time. These are industries and sectors that with the right value prop or with the right time could then move into the third sector, which is these are organizations that are in industries that are doing well, they're in our ideal customer profile, and they're potentially ready to move forward. So, you've got to think really about this, like how you're bucketing out your customers, how you're then interacting with different customers differently based on which bucket they're in. But it is time, my friends. It is time to stop putting everybody in bucket 3. Okay, there are companies out there spending a lot of money right now buying things, right? I'm telling, again, from all my conversations, like I am shocked by the amount of sales leaders who are like, yeah, actually, it's we don't want to sound bad, but we've actually hit our numbers. And, we had to let go of a few people early on, but actually things aren't that, as dire. So the big thing here is, again, just to think about your customers need to fall in this bucket. And so if you're not sure, what bucket you're going to put them in, you kind of outline in here this almost ready bucket. You kind of assume they are there, and then you can kind of qualify them one way or the other. There's a lot of data too. If you're interested, if you want to know, actually, Austin company, Trust Radius, and Becca, I don't know if we actually, I can maybe find the link to drop in here. Trust Radius put out a report about industries that are doing well right now. So I'm going to drop this in the chat for everyone too, so you can. Trust Radius. All right, so I'll drop this in the chat for everyone here in a second. So I just want all of you to think about this, okay? I want all of you to think about that. Not all of your customers are out of business. Not all potential customers. Maybe life is hard. There is uncertainty, but like very specifically geopolitically. But B2B companies are buying right now. And I think it's important that as you start to think about that, it's time to start to make that move forward, start to think about those things as well too. All right, so here we go. I've got the link. I'm going to drop this in there for you. Actually, no, here it is, tech spending data. So take a look in the chat if you're interested. So I think one of you, I think it was maybe you, Ellis. Let me read the chat. Ellis, yeah, you're looking for a job. So if I were you, I would be thinking about some of these, some of these verticals in particular. All right, everyone, and share. Boom. Oh, Becca, you beat me to it. So cool. All right, so that's buyer behavior. All right, so now I'm going to talk about 2 strategies to think about changing as we go back to engage with buyers. And again, if you all do have questions, please drop them in the chat and let me know. I'll address those as they come up. But looking here, if you think about email, okay, the traditional way that a lot of companies have been doing outbound and even inbound email marketing is now it's today. And by the way, this, like now we're in the COVID world, this is only more, but just think every day there's 128 million business emails sent. And again, in COVID, it's probably more like 150, 160 million. And so a lot of outbound strategies have been predicated on very email heavy strategies, where in reality, look, we have new buyers, right? Millennials right now are involved in 70% of decisions being made. They might not be the decision maker, but they're the end user, right? They're the person who's saying yes, saying no, right? New technology. And a lot of you, if you've seen what happened with the rise of marketing technology, there are over, I think, 1,400 sales technologies right now. So if you're using a CRM and some other stuff, you are so far behind the 8 ball. And these technologies allow you to find better insights about your buyers, when to reach out. They allow you to find, better reasons on when to reach out, like signals and triggers and things like that. So technology, if you're not using modern technology, best-in-class companies are using between 5 to 7 technologies right now. You're also not optimizing your outbound. You're still doing a lot of things manually. And finally, LinkedIn, right? New mediums, right? And just by a quick hands up reaction, how many of you are active on LinkedIn, let's say once a week? So just throw up the reaction, the hand clap. You only have 2 choices. So it's a hand clap or I think it's a thumbs up. So, all right, a few of you. Beth, Melissa. Oh, Melissa's in. She's on LinkedIn. Beth, no. Ellis, no. Ellis, you got to be on, man. If you're not on LinkedIn once a week looking for a job, DM me. I'll walk you through it. Oh, Ellis gave a thumb up. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about LinkedIn a little bit. So with most of our clients, if they're in the B2B space in particular, now what you want to do is audit your last 50 buyers or last 20 buyers and see how active they are on LinkedIn. But with a lot of our clients, we're moving 50% of their outbound strategy to LinkedIn. And for a lot of people, are like, whoa, that's a big shift. And like, well, it is because LinkedIn is now one of the top 20 websites in the US. I think it's maybe Becky, you can correct me, I think it's 16, right? Because of COVID. All these professionals just sitting at their homes, right? They're not on Instagram or Facebook. They're like, oh, I'll go do this, right? Maybe hop on TikTok every once in a while, who knows, right? But again, and the way that you kind of social selling 2.0 is going is it's not just about DMing people, which I think is really what social selling was. It's about producing content that you all as individuals, and I want to make this analogy for you, think of LinkedIn as a networking event in your industry every day. It's a trade show every day. It's a networking event every day. And by posting a piece of content, you get a 45-second speaking spot, right? That by posting less than, I think it's, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Becca, I think it's less than 2% of people post on LinkedIn now. So every time you produce content, and if you're adding more relevant contacts on a daily basis, you're then putting out content, that is an opportunity for you to communicate. And guess what? Since we're not doing in-person networking, well, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going on down here in Austin? We're just like, all right, we'll just keep going with it. But we're not going to be doing, I think, any in-person networking for a minute here, right? You got to be active on LinkedIn. This is where your buyers are. Why aren't you producing relevant industry-related content that they could interact with? So that is the new outbound. That the new outbound needs to be heavily focused on LinkedIn community building for individuals and on your sales org or for you. So for you, Ellis, I know you're looking for a job. Again, feel free, guys. There's a handful of you on here. So my number one advice for all of you is to get super selfish, because what I will do is get very tactical on your problems and tactical on what you want to get out of this. So just drop it in the chat and I'll go there. So again, I want you to think about this. Like, let's say you sell into HR, okay? You sell into HR and you're trying to connect with HR people. LinkedIn allows you to connect between 50 to 100 people every day. So in 6 months, you'll have a few thousand, this is assuming everybody connects, right? But even if you get a low accept rate, you're going to have thousands of HR people in your network that you can send content to. It's the most no-brainer opportunity that exists for any of you out there, whether you're a sales leader, whether you're a CEO, a strategy leader, that LinkedIn is the future of outbound for the foreseeable future, right? And, again, these are the stats from LinkedIn. 90% of people want relevant content. No, actually, this is from LinkedIn. Want a salesperson who gets their space, and 91% rank LinkedIn as the number one choice for professional relevant content. And you can be, and like I said, I think it's in here. Yeah, it's like under 2% of people post regularly, right? 52% of buyers list LinkedIn as the most influential channel during the research process. So my friends, modern outbound has got to be around your individuals within your company producing content and connecting with people in your industry and cutting through the email and call noise. Point number one. So questions on that, drop that in. I want to go deeper if you all have questions in here. Let's check the chat. What kind of content do you think I should be posting as someone looking for a position? I would be posting expert content about what that position is. So Ellis, let's say you're looking for a business operations role. I don't know, you got an MBA. I have an MBA as well too. I'm a sales leader, go figure, right? Let's say you're looking for a business operations role. I would be posting content You are looking for a business operations role? Nailed it. Nailed it. Right? I know what MBAs are up to, right? So it's really simple. I would be posting content about best practices of business operations. Every single day I would be posting my thought on here. If you are a business operations in professional services, here are the top 2 most overlooked trends for the rest of this year. Boom, that's a post. And now you're going to say, Jake, but how do I find this content? Let me tell you, it's called Google. You're going to Google business operations trends 2020, and then you're going to share insights. It's called Google. Or go look at some report that we posted at Skaled that talks about an industry trend. Go look at what McKinsey's posted or Accenture and just put your own spin on it. So that's a really important component of this. People want to hear from people. It's why when you see posts go out with links, posts with links have a negative impact on your post's ability to get reach, right? And so I could go into like a lot of the mechanics of LinkedIn as we go through this. I'll make sure, let me just make sure there's nothing in Slido here real quick. And here, I'll pull it up on my other screen. All right, who's gonna be the first person to drop a question into the Slido? Becca will agree to do a 15-minute marketing assessment for you if you are the first question in Slido. Who will be brave? Okay, so that's my LinkedIn pitch for you, okay? Is that if you are active, getting active on LinkedIn is the most important thing you can do for your company. I solely believe this, right? And that, again, we have seen first, we as a company are generating millions, plural, of dollars from LinkedIn leads, from people that come to direct message me, people that connect request me, people that like and comment on my post from LinkedIn. It is the most important platform for B2B. I just cannot stress this enough, all right? So that is why you've got to think of integrating it. It's no longer calls and emails over here, LinkedIn over here. It's both. You're putting them both together, okay? So that's a big piece of it. So next, and if you have more LinkedIn questions, drop them in. We've got some time. So the next thing I just want to talk about is thinking of sales as a performance organization. So what I mean by that is this: how sales organizations traditionally work. And actually, you know what? I'm going to back up. How marketing organizations typically work is they have people and specialists for lots of different roles. They've got a performance agency that handles performance. They've got a web design agency that handles web design. They've got they've got a PR firm. They've got all this stuff. Sales has sales operations and revenue operations. They don't bring in outside agencies, and that's going to change. And we really think, and candidly, I think we're going to do this more in marketing as well too, that you're going to see more and more people that our client Brain Trust, I was talking about them. And Becca, if you can find it, we could toss a link to the white paper they just put out yesterday. I commented it on my LinkedIn post this morning. Brain Trust put out a report, and it's 90% of people that are in professional roles today will at some point, what do you call it? At some point, they will work for themselves. 90% of people based on current trends. And so what that means is you've got to be ready for that as a marketing and sales work, right? Okay, cool. Anonymous, I cannot give you your free 15 minutes with Becca if you don't DM me. So private message Becca or private message me. We'll set up a free 15-minute consult with you, 15, 30 minutes, and talk to you about trends. Good for you. But I'll come back to this LinkedIn question. So again, what does that mean we need to do? So we've got to sales typically makes changes very slowly. They set up these sequences of activities and things to do for outbound and generating meetings, and then they look at it every few months and they make some tweaks. And the analogy that I have is, look, if you have a marketing organization and they're spending $200,000 a month in advertising, right? Which a lot of you're like, Jake, 200,000, that's a lot of money. Guys, there's 100% chance that they are paying someone to, what do you call it? Like they're paying someone to optimize that. Of course they are. They're probably paying, if they're spending 200,000, they're probably paying someone $25,000 just to optimize the spend. It's not even happening in sales. It's a half of a part-time job, and they have over let's say in a sales work, they have over $400,000 a month of headcount for that same purpose, for generating leads, and nobody dedicated. So at the top of the funnel, sales organizations need to run as performance organizations, looking at the outbound messaging, looking at the sequencing, looking at what's working, what's not working, changing on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, always optimizing. Sales team executes a play, data performance agency looks at results. When that team comes back in on Monday, new uploaded plays, right? So that's how you have to think about this. Sales operations has to be thought of as more of a performance engine, not a reports and dashboards doer, right? And the same thing goes for revenue ops, right? Or I'm sorry, sales enablement. Revenue ops, sales ops in the same. Sales enablement, okay? Sales enablement, right? And for this is like sales content is the way I think about it. Buyer behavior, buyers are becoming more and more educated than they've ever been before. And right now, sales enablement spends days and months and weeks producing content that the sales team never uses, right? And so the answer is the right content, like targeted toward the right person who's going to buy and the right time, right? And the answer is more content. So what do I mean by that? That what we're seeing more and more is that people are doing a better job of taking advantage of the amount like of their white papers, for example. So I could produce a white paper that's for VPs of operations, let's say. In that white paper, I now take that white paper and create 12 different variations based on industry. So instead of having one white paper that's kind of broad for VPs of operations, I've got one that's VP of operations for retail, VP of operations for manufacturing, VP for finance, whatever vertical someone sells into. So that's really the key, is that a content, like more and more sales organizations need to be content factories that are specific to the buyers. And it's just this constant idea of repackaging more and more and more relevant content. Buyers are coming to the process more educated. They want more very specific data. They want more like very specific insights. What's this going to do for me? So again, the organization of the future has got to be focused on scaling with experts and treating sales like a performance organization. We're producing content and iterating in real time. We're optimizing our strategy and our messaging in real time because the market's going to demand it. And I'm telling you, and again, if you're using one, you're not looking at your process over and over again, you're in a tough spot. So here we go. Buyers using the current economy make massive changes, but they happen fast. So Melissa from Bulletproof, what's up, Melissa? They offer 45 tech services, busier than ever, but communication with our customers is changing. Our customers are bombarded with emails and choice. Everyone is racing to the bottom. Buyers are using the current economy to make massive changes, but they happen fast. I agree. I think it's a really good call out, Melissa. And again, like that's why we're talking about this today. That I need all of you who are on this call, like we got to start moving forward. And just moving forward and starting to scale the way that we did before. And it's just like, all right, let's go back to emails. Like, no. Like, let's go back to this. No. Let's go back to this. Sales operations is going to create some dashboards. No. Performance optimization engine, right? So just like your marketing has a performance optimization engine, your sales organization has to have a performance optimization engine. So those are the big things that I wanted to talk about, is that, again, like as a CEO and someone who talks to so many other CEOs and sales leaders, I wanted to talk about, kind of these big topics. For me in particular, the way that we're going to go to outbound feels a lot more like marketing, right? And I think I was talking to someone about this yesterday in a webinar, and that the new outbound is going to be, how do you produce more inbound interest? And that's certainly the plays we're seeing, and LinkedIn is a big component of that. And then how we're going to scale our sales team, I think, is going to be, again, with more part-time experts. If you have one or two people in your sales ops operations, there maybe have experience with 4 or 5 technologies. I just told you all earlier, there are 1,300. The chances that your sales ops person is possibly the best person to be executing this is 0. And that's okay. It's not a knock on them. They've been full-time and they've went from one company to the next. They brought 5 tools, but there's, 1,295 other ones that are continuing to evolve. And so no one individual can keep up. And so I think we're going to see these experts come in all over. Like, we're making a big bet in our business around staff augmentation in sales organizations for leadership. Great. Bring in an outside leader for XYZ period while you fill a full-time role, or give a current leader 20 direct reports. Like what's better for the business, right? And so we really believe that expert work is going to be the future. Expert work is going to be how companies are going to scale sales and marketing. And I think LinkedIn is going to be a major vehicle in how we're going to communicate. So that's what I wanted to walk y'all through. And there's at least one question in here about LinkedIn, so I'll spend a little bit more time. I'll go a little more tactical on LinkedIn since we've got a little bit of time here. About like the kind of the best practices around using LinkedIn for an organization. Again, and feel free, guys, just drop your questions in there. It's like a little nice little intimate conversation here. But I talked a little bit about this. Like one is make an investment in Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's like $75 a month. It is the smartest investment. It allows you to basically aggregate lists into one centralized place, and then I can integrate a lot of my activities. Using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I can connect with 82 people in 12 minutes, right? So there, the amount of the velocity that you can build your network is massive. And again, it's just targeted people. It's not, I'm not inviting every random person who's not in my target industry, you know, to do this. Yeah, if you guys want to open up your, I'd love to do that. If you guys want to open up your mics and ask a question, feel free, like hop in. I love that. So I'll kind of turn it over if anyone wants to jump in, has a specific question, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on scaling, and then if not, I'll just spend a few more minutes of this and we'll go from there.
Jake, Jessica is going to be opening everybody's mics because we put everything on download so we don't get any Zoom booms. But I just have to say, like, I've been texting back and forth with my team. This is so exciting. Like everything that you've said about LinkedIn is so critical. And I know for myself, I got bogged down with all the things that I had to do. So I have not been taking advantage of that, but you have me energized now. I'm going to get back on there with that content.
Good.
But I mean, it happens, right? It's like you get bogged down. You're like Melissa said, like everything is just, it got into desperation mode. And we stopped doing those really good practices that we did that made us successful outside of just the cold calling and going out on meetings.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody now has the ability to unmute themselves, and I'm super energized about this, but if you want to listen to Jake and I geek out on sales for a while, you can, but we'd love to have you geek out with us.
Yeah,
I can call on people too.
That's up to them. I mean, again, if they're good with it. I don't know if Becca had a question or somebody. Alice, Beth.
Oh, we've got somebody.
Hi, it's Becca here. So I have a question that we kind of get a lot from people that we work with, and it's in terms of like our technology. So what tools are you recommending for listening to prospect activity to measure like those buckets you talked about in the beginning, and how to put them in ready to buy versus almost ready and not ready?
That's a really good one. And it goes back to, again, I talked a lot about there's a lot of tech out there, but that means there's also a lot of noise. So the very first is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And I'll tell you, there's some really interesting things that LinkedIn Sales Navigator will pull out for you. You know what? Why not? Why not, guys? I'm just going to pull up Sales Navigator. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about too, so that it's not just like theoretical. LinkedIn, come on. So I'm going to show you why Sales Navigator. And while I'm doing that, the other one that I would really consider is ZoomInfo. So ZoomInfo is really, I mean, they just IPO'd, massive IPO. They're like one of the hottest companies over the last 3 months. And they have done a great job of integrating a lot of other technologies, like Bombara is one. So Bombara is, imagine ZoomInfo is a great database of contact information. Like think of it like Dun & Bradstreet 2.0 almost, because they do validations with calls. So they map hierarchies, they'll do all kinds of cool stuff. One thing they do is they do intent. And so they partner with a company called Bombara, and I think they have some of their own internal data sets as well now. And what they do is they have their cookies on thousands of websites. And with reverse IP lookup, I won't get too technical, but basically they can say, hey, people from IBM are researching these topics, because they can read the text that's on the page that their cookies are on. So they can say, hey, you know what? These industries are researching this topic more. These companies are researching these topic more from like an intent standpoint. So that's like when you're ready to go all in, that's what you want to do. But if you want to do some basic stuff, so that's what I would look at. ZoomInfo, Bombara. It's a great kind of 1-2 punch. So check this out, all. So the big things is change jobs in the last 90 days. So again, you talk about intent. I can tell you when people change jobs, nobody hires someone at a senior level to keep the status quo the same, right? Nobody's like, hey, new VP, just go ahead and just do things normal. Like, no, my friends, that's not how this works. So you can click on change jobs in the last 90 days. I can then go and I can reach out to those people, right? So that would be the first thing. Go reach out when people, hey, you just changed jobs, you may start to think about XYZ, because that's an intent signal for as like just a person, right? If someone is, again, they came to a new role in the company, it's a good intent signal. You know, so here's I'm just going to pull senior strategic learning, 1 month in role, 1.2 years at the company. So you want to find someone who's in like a brand new role where it's maybe like a level up from that. So that's one way you can find some really good intent data, is that. All right, Becca's got another one. The last two things I'll show you here is this, posted in the last 30 days. So this is, again, you can create targeted lists of people, and then you can go and you can interact with these people, right? And what you're going to find, the really crazy part is most people, this guy's got a few comments, right? I mean, he's got a lot of emojis in here, right? But I want you to see something here. Most people get very few comments. So again, Ellis, you're looking for a job, right? So man, I would just go to my hiring managers the people at the companies, and I would literally comment on their posts. You know, so again, look, he's got 7 comments. And by the way, this is a lot more than most. Here you go, 1 comment. So if I go in, love this. That's kind of a shitty one to like, that's like, there's not a lot of value there. But again, you go and interact with these people. You follow me? Like, go and interact with them. This is the modern outbound play. So again, if you're looking for levels of intent, go and interact with people that are active on LinkedIn. Go and look at people that have changed jobs. There's another tab, 62 leads that follow your company. That's this hidden one, right? Why wouldn't you reach out to those people? When we do this with sales teams, I tell sales teams, I'm like, look, if you can't set a meeting with someone who follows your company on LinkedIn, like, you suck. So, and then, yeah, so again, like, here's another guy. This is John from LinkedIn, VP, global manager. And you can see, you know, again, he's posting here. You know, this one obviously got a lot of interaction. Again, nobody commented on this. You could be the first person to comment. One person commented here. You know, right? So again, obviously be smart, comment things that are relevant. But again, this is how you build rapport. This is how you interact with people. And so I think LinkedIn Sales Nav coupled with maybe some intent data is the 1-2 punch on that.
Hey, Jake, I've got a quick question. So
Yeah.
a lot of our members are creating new product right now, right? Because times they are changing. And when you're looking at new target segments and how to market to them, what are like some of the best practices to qualify candidates for growth when you're looking to do that?
Are you talking about for hiring?
Yes.
Okay, well, look, I think it's a great time to be hiring right now. I think there's a lot of talent out there. Look, you know, for us, and candidly, I'll tell you, you know, this also goes back to some of the things that are happening in our country around, you know, race equality and other things, that consistently what we've found is the best way to hire, and I'll focus on salespeople in particular, because salespeople are the ones that are, oh, I've been in the industry for 20 years and I've done this, like, it's really hard. So there's a great book, and it's called Who, WHO. It's by a guy named Jeff Smart, Geoff, Jeff Smart. And his dad actually wrote a book called Top Grading. And so the method that we use for hiring for new people is we use this method. And the Who method has very specific questions for the screening process. We then have a skills interview, which basically for each role, we have skills that are either red, yellow, or green. Red means it's difficult to change. Integrity. I can't make you have more integrity. It's not coachable, right? So red is like uncoachable. Yellow can be coached. Green is easy to change. And then how important are those skills to the job? And so for every role that we hire for, every role, They go through a skills interview, and we make sure out of the 25 questions for that role, it's these 5 are most important. And so we're making sure that they have the skills. We don't do the traditional interview of like, tell me what you sold here. Like, I'll get into that. That's the experience interview, which is the third interview. So we do the skills interview, and it's numbers based. Either you move forward because you score over an X, depending on how many questions we're asking, or you don't. And so we try to eliminate bias as much as humanly possible by really keeping this, by eliminating. I'll tell you how to not hire salespeople is have a bunch of people interview them, get in a room and say, what do you think? That is not a good way to hire salespeople. Okay. Then the third thing that we have is the experience interview. And we ask it goes back to eliminating bias. We ask we run the same exact play and process for everybody. So what we do in the experience interview is we go back deep. Like I'll go back to if you're let's say you're 45 or 50 years old, I'll go back to the job you had in the late 90s, because and then you'll see patterns of behavior. And we ask the exact same questions. What were you hired to do? What accomplishment are you most proud of? What was the low point? When I talk to your boss, how are they going to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10 and why? Why did you leave? That's it. And then I go to your next job. Same question. What were you hired to do? What accomplishment are you most proud of? What was a low point? When I talk to your boss, and then I'll make them spell the name of their boss, even if their boss's name is John Smith. How do you spell that? John, is it with an H? Okay. John Smith. Okay, great. When I talk to John, how is he going to rate you? It's really important that you ask the question that way. If I says, oh, what would John say about you? Oh, yeah, blah, blah. But if you then think I'm going to talk to John, I get the real. And as you go through 2, 3, 4 roles, their boss is like a 7, an 8, a 6. This issue with my boss. One bad boss, we all had it, right? But you start patterns about individuals emerge. So if you're interviewing for any role, that methodology we found to work very, very well. Trust me, we're not hiring at 100% by any stretch of the imagination, but we found it helps to eliminate bias in the process, 1, and 2, it does give us a really good understanding of the tendencies of that person. And then, I'm sorry, there's actually the fourth and most important part, which is the reference checks. Reference checks at Skaled are not a checkbox. Like I'm interviewing that person. And again, guess what? We have the exact same set of questions that we asked for the interview process. How did you work with this person? What was the high point? What are the things that they needed to work on back then? You always say back then, and then people feel comfortable actually scrutinizing them. If not, they just give you the thing. So those are kind of the key steps to hiring to it more effectively.
Well, and I think that's a really good point to say, what would this person say about you? Because I've had people reach out to me about former employees that just didn't work out with us. But it didn't mean they were bad employees. It didn't mean that they were bad people. It didn't mean that they weren't hard workers. It's just I always use the example, like no one wants me to sell copiers. I am the worst copier salesperson on the face of the earth. But you want me to go in and sell memberships to organizations? There's not a lot of people who can do it better than me, right? And so it's like, I'm terrible at selling copiers, but I was still a hard worker. I still showed up on time every single day. I was still honest and forthright with everybody I dealt with. And there isn't a single boss that would never be able to not say that about me, but they might say, yes, she wasn't a good fit for this industry.
Yeah. That's right. And that's again, and I always say that when I do my reference, I'm like, look, this is about finding the right fit for them and for us.
Yeah. So let's go back to that performance engine thing, because I got really excited when you started talking about that. Because I think we all get stuck into that. I'm going to cold call. I'm going to follow up on this schedule. I've done that for years and I was wildly successful doing it.
Yeah, of course.
But I think looking at it in, okay, we've got to do it a little bit of a different way right now, because even though we'll eventually get back to the fact that people will want to meet in person, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while before people jump on planes and go across the globe or across the country or just across the state for in-person meetings. So let's talk, can you kind of dive into that a little bit more, and not just like, here's the principles of it, but how do you make that transition from this is what you've been doing into this is this new model? Because it's what am I comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with?
Well, I'll break this into 2 different things. So one is more around the outbound. So the key is, look, it's not just LinkedIn, it's integrating LinkedIn. So if someone is active, we're going to engage them to build some type of relationship before we go for an ask. And so candidly, the easiest way is to just build out your system in a tool like Outreach.io or SalesLoft or Reply.io or Mailshake. There's a whole bunch of these, they're called sales engagement platforms. And so I can build in, step 1 is connect on LinkedIn. Step 2 is comment on posts. Step 3 is this. And then if they're not active, I can skip to step 5, which is call email. So I think the key is in how you can run these plays that might appear to be complicated or convoluted is it's just a process that I'm going to create a list in Sales Navigator, connect with people, and then the first people that connect back, I'm going to put into the sequence. And then step 1 of the sequence is look to see if they're a 90-day person or a posted content, and I'm going to go interact or reach out to them because they posted that they're just joined in the last 90 days. So it's about creating a system and process around it to where it becomes manageable. And so I talked about Sales Navigator. Investing in Outreach.io and tools like it is probably the other big investment that I would make. And again, so you're spending now $180 in tech for one person per month, but I'm telling you, the efficiency and effectiveness gains are astronomical. And then on the performance side, the issue has been we've treated sales operations and RevOps as kind of a, dashboard makers, and they're just not equipped to have this mindset. And so, what you need is somebody who's dedicated to optimization, who actually has the authority to do something about it. Because the problem with a lot of sales operations, they can surface things, revenue operations can surface things, but can you do anything about it? And so I think that to me is a big, important component of this, that you have to empower operations and enablement to think about those insights. You have to empower them to make changes within the sales organization based on data, not just based on old school behavior from that sales leader that she or he has brought with them for the last 20 years. So it's just a dedication to ongoing improvement. It's easy to stay stagnant. Change sucks. But guess what? This new world, B2C has already been doing this, right? B2C has already been optimizing for conversions for 10 years. Everything that's B2C comes to B2B. And so it's just a mindset shift, So it's just we've got to kind of make that mindset shift as a part of this. And so I think it's about how do you create a system to run these more complex plays where people's heads don't explode? And then how do you dedicate roles within sales that can interpret performance data and make changes? And I think that those are the two easiest ways to think about how this process can start.
So let's talk a little bit about the LinkedIn content. Anybody who has a question, jump in here. I'm asking questions because, like I said, I geek out on this stuff. So I will geek out all day long with Jake if I have the time to, and if he has the time to. But when we're talking about LinkedIn content, because the last thing you want to do is make something sound sales pitchy when you're putting it out there, but you also don't want to make it sound super personal, like me and my kids did this weekend. And I follow you on LinkedIn, and I've been following you for a while. You've got, the company has really good content that's personalized. You've got good personalized content, but it's not, this is who I'm voting for, here's pictures of my kids type personal, but it's, this is how this affects me. So can you kind of dig into like how you develop that and whether it's something you just do on your own or it kind of becomes groupthink within the office?
It's a good question. And so I just want to make this very actionable for all of you too, that what you should really be thinking about is you don't have to try to, produce everything. You don't have to do everything. Most of my content is inspired from random conversations that I had days or weeks before. And I'm just sharing insights around sales, marketing, and leadership because that's really all that's my lane. I was very active and we're continuing to be active in the Black Lives Matters and that issue in particular, because in sales, it's a huge issue. We have got a lot of issues that are both gender and race related in sales. So and we've got to keep this dialogue going too, which is a whole thing that is hot and heavy on LinkedIn for like a week and a half. And then everyone's like, okay, back to business. Right. So I think it's okay for you to have some of that. Right. And not just do it because everyone else is doing it too. And you got to sustain it. But the key is you share what you know and you share what you taught. Again, I have a conversation with Amber. Amber has 2 or 3 notes, takeaways here from LinkedIn. Amber just goes, shares it. She didn't have to give me credit. I don't care. Or she can tag me. If she tags me, chances are I'll go and interact with her post. That helps to amplify it. But she say, look, if you are a business leader, you're scared about LinkedIn, here are the top 4 things that you need to know. Boom, boom, boom. The person who gets the juice is the person who shares the information. Doesn't have to be the creator. And so I think a lot of people, they get so stuck in their head. And then, I know I was, when I started posting regularly, it was a little nervous, but then I just started to look at it as data point. Ooh, that post did well, data point. That post didn't do well, data point. And then just continue to, optimize that over time. So the easiest ways are, conversations you have with customers or individuals. That's easy. Content your company's putting out, white papers. Don't just reshare the content ever. Like, that's why you get no comments, is when you reshare. LinkedIn's algorithm doesn't love it. And instead, put your commentary on the content. Hey, if you are a freelance, 90%, it's interesting. So the post I literally put up this morning was from an ebook of one of our clients. And I tagged them, I gave them credit in the comments, but I said but I made my own commentary. Their stat was that 90% stat. About 90% of people will work for themselves at some point in their career, right? And I made them my own commentary around it, my thoughts around what that actually means. So that's, I think, that's the easiest way, is just take learnings. Take learnings. That advice I gave Ellis, like, he's trying to go into biz ops, like, just Google biz ops trends and share something you learn. You just share things you learn too. That doesn't mean that you have to be an expert. You can just share what you learn.
Yeah, that is great, because it's that if you try to talk about things you don't know, or you just try to, riff off a topic that you heard about quickly while you were on your jog, it doesn't come across genuine. But if it's something where you actually absorb it, or it's meaningful to you,
yeah, that's it.
I think a lot of people, I found stuff where I've shared articles where it's like, this actually really spoke to me, because this is something I've been trying to figure out how to solve, or this is.
And then put your commentary on it. Tell that story. Tell the story about, like, look, I struggled with this for these 3 reasons. This is an amazing read by blah, 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 tag that person. And this is why. Because most people don't have time to read articles, right? How many of you bookmark blog posts and articles, and then you always come back to them? Incorrect. You do not come back to them, probably ever. So that's why you got to think about a LinkedIn post. You've got to summarize it. And just know that lots of people aren't going to actually click this thing. And what you said, Amber, is also really important, because that's also what stops people from producing content, is they try to get it. It's not that they don't want to get outside their lane. It's not that. It's that they get discouraged because they're not an expert. So you just start with a narrow focus. You might be the experts on, people that really like the gym and accountants. I don't know. And then you're going to share interesting insights about how working out and accounting are the same. I don't know. But, like, if you find something that you're interested in, like, I like sales, right? I love sales. So for me, it's really easy for me to talk about it and talk about marketing and leadership and other things that I enjoy. And so I think for a lot of people, if you just make that the anchor, then producing content becomes easier, for sure.
I had somebody reach out to me and offer to mentor me once, because it was several years ago. I was sharing articles and studies and everything on a particular thing that I wanted to learn more about. And I was just sharing, like, I'm dedicated to learning more about this. I want to have a better understanding around it. Here's a great article if you're looking for that too. And somebody reached out to me, someone I'd known and had no idea I had an interest in this, and said, hey, I'm actually an expert in this. I'd love to, have some conversations with you and do some mentoring around this. And so, if you're looking for that, like, that's a great way to find these people too. And that person's become a really important person in my professional life.
Love it. That's awesome. And that goes back to you, Ellis. Like, I know you're on the job hunt. You should just be connecting with all the different hiring managers in those disciplines. And imagine you're candidate A and candidate Ellis, because you're going to go and do this now. And because guess what? People go and look at your LinkedIn profile. So if you guys go and look at your LinkedIn profile and it's garbage, meaning like there's no summary section, it's vague, more people look at your LinkedIn than their resume. I don't. When's the last time I actually looked at someone's resume versus just their LinkedIn profile? Honestly, I don't remember. That's all. I just go to their LinkedIn profile. Because that's your digital self, right? That's your digital professional reputation. And imagine I go to you, candidate A, and then you are sharing content about the future of business operations, what forward-thinking business operations. Candidate A is doing nothing, which is what most people are doing. Who do you think? And then you DM me. And now you DM me. I'd actually talked to some people that were looking for roles yesterday. I did a webinar on it, and the advice I said is, like, write an article on LinkedIn about the future of biz ops trends. Send that to me as a hiring manager. Hey, I just put out this article. It's interesting. I'm really passionate about biz ops. I saw you had an open position. If this resonates, I'd love to chat with you guys because of this thing about your company. And so that's my, like, big advice is that, start to put out content around things that you're interested in.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask about how you feel about just kind of cold reaching out to people?
Oh,
and
totally.
just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, what I would do is I'd use LinkedIn to see the people that are advertising for jobs. I'd then go connect with all the hiring men. Don't reach out to HR. Do not reach out to HR. That's the dead zone. No offense if any of you are in HR, but I know how overworked all of you are, and I know how it is. Now, you'll probably get kicked to HR. That's fine. But reach out to the hiring manager. Say, hey, hiring manager, I wrote this about business operations. You might be hiring for business operations. Here's what I'm interested in about your company specifically. You know, what I tried to drill in those guys' heads yesterday, I said, look, getting the job of your dreams is work. It's not lazy. Yes, of course you got to be proactive. You know what? I showed them this thing. I've got it on hand because I keep showing everyone. This is a business plan I made when I got my job at the Phoenix Coyotes. And I brought this to the interview. I showed them, look, I've already thought about what it's going to be like to sell hockey in Arizona and what it's going to be able to compete against the Phoenix Suns for revenue and for dollars. And I did it for my very first job out of college. I got a job in Major League Baseball. My next job, I was like, I think I'll make a business plan. I was the only person who got a job out of 35 people in a group interview. First leadership role. I'd been at the company 3 months. I was up against a woman who'd been there for 2.5 years. What did I do? I brought business plans. Said, this is what the territory looks like. This is the map. This is what I think we need to do. These are the areas of opportunity. These are industries and sectors that are growing in that region. So for the job interview, if you're going to DM me, say, Jake, look, I took a look on G2. I did this. It looks like your industry is exciting to me for these reasons. These are the trends that I know about your industry. That's why people don't get DM'd back. They're like, oh, I saw you have a biz ops role. I'd love to talk. Right? Show that you did some work. Hey, I put this article about biz ops. I'm passionate. I came across your company. This is why your industry is exciting to me. Here's what I think it's going to be like to be in business operations in your industry and think I can make an impact. Let's set up time to talk. That's how you get interviews.
Would you also suggest using that? So I know a few people here, they're with Melissa mentioned that she's currently with her company.
Yeah.
Like if you want to grow within your company, but you don't want to go to your boss who might be the chief revenue officer or the VP of sales and say, someday I want your job, because that's not always a popular conversation to have with someone.
Sure.
But people also don't stay in companies forever anymore. It's no longer the time that our parents were raising us. So would you say that this is also a great way to find people to help you grow your career within your own company who are outside of your company and can give you perspective?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you could run this exact same play. People love to help people, so I think if you reach out, and again, the more thoughtful you are, I'm going to be exponentially more likely to take a call with you. Exponentially, like, hey, Jake, I saw you on this and I saw you on this podcast and based on this and this is the exact area I need help. Could I catch up with you for 10 minutes? Sure. We'll make it happen. So I think that's what it is. Most people are just lazy, or, it's like people are busy. So I don't want to make you have to think about if you want to meet with me. I'm going to show you why you want to meet with me, like pretty straight up, like I'm going to tell you and show you how I put in the work. So I hope some helpful stuff for everyone. I think we dropped my LinkedIn profile. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm putting out lots of sales and marketing related content. Follow also Rebecca Edelman on our team. She's our amazing content and marketing guru. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can find me, Jake at Skaled. Just shoot me an email. But no, I appreciate it, Amber. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, no, and we're thrilled to have you all with us. Like I started this out, I could sit and listen to Jake talk and geek out on this stuff probably from now until, my ears don't work anymore.
Becca, some people like it, right? Some people like it. No, I'm just
kidding. Well, thank you, Jake. This was really great content, and Becca was fantastic to work with to put this together. We're going to be having some more conversations with Skaled.
I'm looking forward to it.
Spread the word. This was an exciting content and conversation. It's got me completely energized. And like I said, my team's been texting me through the whole time, like, we need to do this and this and this. So
I love it.
I'm guessing everybody else took the same questions. If you have any questions for the team at Skaled and you don't have the ability to get a hold of them directly, please reach out to our team at Austin Technology Council. It's info@austintechnologycouncil.org, and we'll get you connected to Jake's team. If you have any questions about Skaled or their company, please reach out. We can get that information to you as well. I'm so glad you were all able to join us today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all soon in person. But for right now, please make sure you're wearing your masks and you're being extra careful when you go out. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.